Hello, and welcome to the Rutherford County Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta monthly podcast on financial fortitude. Today, I am so excited to bring to you all things home ownership, from purchasing your first home to upgrading and buying something new to even investment properties. Today, we have with us Miss Micah Woodard.
Hello, 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 hello.
Hello, hello. I am so excited to have you guys on. And with that being said, we're going to introduce our second guest, who is Miss Kendra Clark.
Hello.
Hello, ladies. Look, the first thing, because I've got so many questions that I'm going to try not to get too excited, but introduce yourselves to our guests. Tell them who you are, who you work for, what you do, all the things that has to do with home ownership. Micah,
Okay.
why don't you start?
Okay, so I'm Micah Woodard. I've been in real estate for 2.5 years now. I work with the Arbitrage Collective at Compass. I absolutely love real estate. I was inspired to get in real estate by Kendra, which is crazy because she was my hair client before I got into real estate, and we are friends. So I was inspired by her. I love all things real estate, all things. I'm an educator by heart, and the thing I love about real estate the most is the fact that I still get to be hands on with clients and I get to educate them as well. So I
Okay.
love my real estate.
And look, we're going to talk about that education piece as well. So, Miss Kendra, talk to us. Tell us who you are and who do you work with? What do you do? And all those good things.
Absolutely. My name is Kendra Clark, and I have been in real estate since 2019. I am currently with Keller Williams, and I got into real estate because I wanted more flexibility in my life. I wanted to combine the two things that I love the most, which were people and numbers. And I love houses. So, like, why wouldn't this be the best opportunity to do those two things together? And in that, I just learned so much about my own journey in home ownership and how those things can help you build wealth. And so educating people on that is what I have found has been the most amazing part of real estate.
Okay, well, look, why don't we start with the baby steps? One of the things that people talk about is home ownership and it being the end all to be all. And especially in the economy that we currently have now, I'll never forget having a conversation with my son. And he was like, "Oh my God, mom, my rent is going up again." And I was like, we've been talking about buying this house thing. When are you going to be ready? And he was so afraid. But being able to go through the process, he found that owning his own home was actually cheaper than renting. Now, in this market, if you've got someone that's out there, they're thinking about buying a home, where do they start? What do they do? And that question can be for either one of you.
Well, the first thing I will say is that a lender that Mike and I both use
We love.
posted something the other day and said, you're buying a house. You're either buying it for yourself or you're buying it for your landlord. So no matter what, you're buying a house, right? So that's the first thing I want people to see and understand, that you're paying someone else's rent or you're paying your own, and you might as well get the tax benefit from it. Absolutely. I know it can be scary. I've had clients who want to um I actually have a client who wanted to his rent was $2,000, but he only wanted to buy for 1,300. And I was like, that's not realistic.
Yeah, it's not gonna make
Right. So we have to really think about all the benefits that come with home ownership, and put our resources together to try to figure out a plan to get that, to get that done. So I think that that's the first thing people have to see. It is an investment. It is one of the best investments. And it's even in an economy where things are shaky, the average return on a home has been at least 4%. So even if you're playing the long game, it's definitely worth it.
Okay. But now, look, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Now,
Okay.
why should I purchase a house when I've got a landlord? And if something breaks down, he's going to fix it for me. I mean, if my AC goes out, somebody's going to probably take care of it for me in the next day or two. Now, if my AC goes out at my house and I have, I might just be warm for a little bit.
Yeah.
you know,
I
so
understand that, yes.
how do you overcome some of those thought processes when it comes to actual home ownership?
Well, first, I think it's always, again, just about an investment, right? We have to be willing to think bigger, want bigger for ourselves. And a home is one of the pillars of wealth, right? So we're building wealth. It's an asset. We're going to continue to put money into our home, and at some point we will probably be able to sell it for more. I know that when you when people, think of those things like, well, what if this goes out? Or what if that goes out? Well, also rent goes up, but so those things you're just paying for them gradually over time because most people have a rent increase from year to year. Very rarely do people not have a rent increase. So you may not be paying for the AC immediately, but you've paid for it over the length of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you could have got a tax benefit for it. There's all kinds of tax credits. There's different types of programs. So I think that the immediate sometimes it does scare people like immediately I'm going to have to try to replace this or fix this. But one of the things I do when I try to help someone get into a home is I try to help them use as less money as possible so that they can build a small nest.
Yes.
And we bought our first home. I was 23, he was 24. We had a just in case fund and we put $50 in it once a month because that's what we could afford. And for a while, nothing happened. And then one day I was taking a shower and it got cold and the water heater was out. Well, we had been putting that little $50 every month in our just in case fund. And so we had enough. And I know, times are different. But I think small incremental steps, and also, like I said, helping you build that nest egg when we get you into the house, right? You were planning to put 5% down, but you may only need 3.5%. So that 1.5% that you had to put down, maybe we don't get brand new furniture. We put that in a just in case fund. We also, when we help people buy homes, we get home warranties for them because that's a negotiating tactic. So that also helps. So just, like you have a home warranty, it only costs you maybe $50 or $75 if something goes out. They'll send someone out and try to, fix it or replace it. So those are things that I try to negotiate when I'm especially helping someone buy a home that's pre-existing.
Okay. So let's talk about buying a home. I mean, so many times, people go, well, do I get an FHA? Do I get a VA? Do I get a traditional loan? How much money do I need? Will the builder or the owner help me with closing costs? What's debt to income ratio? And what kind of a credit score do I need if I'm trying to purchase a home? And if my credit score isn't all that great, then what happens then? Can y'all get into all of those things when it comes to your being a first-time home buyer?
Yeah. I feel like so at first you need at least a 580 credit score to buy a home, which is pretty doable. What I will tell you this too is that as a real estate agent, you need good partners. So I know enough about loans to be dangerous, right? So I know what I know, and then I have several trusted lenders that I call if I need assistance with anything. But I do know that you need a 580 credit score. Your debt to income ratio, what that is, it is your the percentage of what you bring in versus what you send out. And depending on your credit score, that ratio and the type of loan that you're trying to get, that ratio flexes. So some loans you may need you can go up to 48 or 49%. Some loans you can only go to 42%. So what Micah and I would definitely try to do is put you in touch with one of our trusted lenders who we know is going to guide you and walk with you and keep us in your hand. Absolutely. Every step of the way to assure that you feel comfortable in the situation and that you are well versed in what we need to do. I have clients, I have a closing on tomorrow. My client has been in what I like to call credit protocol for over a year. She had a decent credit score, but her debt to income ratio was a little bit higher than it needed to be. And so what the lender did was make a plan for her. He literally told her, you need to pay $52 on this card. You need to pay $65 on this card. And he gave her a spreadsheet. And as we tick-tack down that spreadsheet, she and I would touch base every 2 months. And we would talk through, hey, where are we here? He'd do a soft pull on her credit. And tomorrow she is closing on her first home.
Yay. Congratulations.
Yes. And it's amazing. I'm so excited for her because she has really been working hard to get what she wanted at the rate that at a good rate. And so if you have a trusted partner, then you and that partner can work together. He would call me and say, hey, I haven't talked to client X. in a couple of weeks. Let's reach out to her and let's go through the things that she's already paid, or let's see where she is. Because the thing is, you have to keep people motivated, because sometimes it can be a big thing, and the only way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So that's what you do. And if you have a trusted agent who has a trusted team, we will work with you through the entire process. I tell people all the time, the only thing that I know of that you cannot overcome when you're trying to buy a house is not having a job. Everything else we can work through.
Well, Kendra, Miss Linda, remember she didn't have and I don't know what that was about, but Miss Linda, for some reason, I don't know how that woman did it, but she did it. I don't know, but she did it. Yeah.
Yeah. But generally,
Agreed.
I tell people, if you have a job, if you have income coming in, we can figure out a way. It may not be today, but we can figure out a way. It's a long game. We can figure out a way to get you into a home.
Okay, so if you said if you have a job, if you have income coming in, so let's say I'm retired and I've got a pension and Social Security, will those things count as income if I wanted to upgrade or purchase my first home?
Absolutely. Steady income. Unfortunately, I don't know what the month, how long you have to have your pension coming in, or disability or anything. I've actually had a client who was on disability by a home. So as long as you have some type of constant income, you can purchase a home. Absolutely. And there are programs, all different types of programs as well.
Yes.
So talk to me, what I want to know, actually, if you can explain to our audience, what is the difference between an FHA, a VA, and a conventional loan? What's the difference? What are the pros or cons for any of those?
Oh, okay. This is where I'm going to say I know enough to be dangerous.
Yeah, I'm just going to say I can help a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Other than that, we call a Marshall. Yeah,
we're calling our trusted members. Yeah. I do know a VA loan, you have to be a veteran.
Yeah.
And those loans generally don't require any down payment because it's a benefit from being a veteran. And there are a limited amount of fees that can be charged, but that's a small segment of the community of people.
And also with VA loans, I'd like to add too, they don't even consider the credit score with the VA loan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I had no idea until I closed the one in Smyrna, but they don't even consider a credit score.
Got it.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So get myself a soldier. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. A FHA loan is a government-backed loan. In general, you need 3.5% down. And if you don't put down 3.5%, you get charged something called PMI. If you don't put down 20%, I'm sorry, you get charged something called PMI. But they are government-backed loans, and the credit score I know is lower, so that's where the 580 comes in at. And those loans have some safe
parameters.
Correct, absolutely. Right. So you can't, with an FHA loan, everything in the home has to be functioning. It has to be in working order. So like, you can't buy a fixer-upper with an FHA loan because things have to be in working order. The roof has to be at a certain standard, the all the appliances, things of that nature. So when you have an FHA loan, we do after the home inspection is done and the appraiser comes out, they may say, it passes, but these things need to be repaired.
Yeah.
These things need to be fixed. I've had that happen before, foundation issues or roofs, anything like that. A conventional loan is different. The percentage normally you put down somewhere between 3 and 5%, or you can go up to 20% again to avoid that PMI. But those loans can be used. They have a little bit more flexibility. So you could use a conventional loan to buy a fixer-upper. You could use a conventional loan to buy a flip. So those types of home that you're going to repair and then sell. So FHA loans have those. There's just several different parameters about the types of
which supports the buyer.
Absolutely,
it's good for the buyer. Also, the credit score for conventional loans is a little higher too.
It is.
So it's 580 for FHA, and it's 620 or 640.
620
conventional,
and that's the minimum.
That's the minimum.
Yeah.
Okay. Now look, I can remember when I worked at FedEx and I used to use all of these different jargons and, and all of these different letters and people be like, what is she talking about? And then I have to go, okay, you don't work with me.
Right.
And so let me go ahead and spell it out for you.
Okay.
You said something about PMI. Now, I know what PMI is, but can you
Got
tell
it.
our audience what PMI is
So,
and what that means and how quickly can I get rid of it?
well, PMI is private mortgage insurance, and is an insurance that the federal government charges to secure the loan. So until you get 20% equity in your home, then you will pay a PMI. You will pay PMI on your home, PMI insurance. Once you get to 20%, you can petition to have it taken off. Um, the way that the market has been moving, it does generally it takes, they say on average about 10 years. If you put down 3.5%, you get to the 20% in about 10 years. But the way the at least the Nashville market has been moving, I bought my house in 2020, and in 2021, the end of 2021, I had enough
To come out.
equity in my home,
Okay.
so which means the value of my home had increased enough um, that I was able to petition and get the PMI off of my loan.
That's
So when I talk about things increasing at least 4%, you think 4%, 4%, 4%. So every year, um, at that rate, you would be able to then take it off of your home, the private mortgage insurance.
Okay, now you said you had to petition to get it off. So are you saying that lenders will they automatically take it off
yeah.
or depending on the loan, or do I have to say, hey,
I have
I've
to say,
reached my 20%, or can we do a reappraisal because now my house is worth XYZ? Take
Yes.
the PMI off.
So yeah, you have to request that it is removed.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now I think that's a little unfair, but because I mean, how many people know to make that request or to get that appraisal to see exactly where they are? Do you educate your buyers on
yeah.
those types of things so
Oh,
that
absolutely.
they'll be able to make an adjustment if needed?
Absolutely. If you bought your house with me, I keep up with the value.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
every year I'm gonna say, hey, here's where we are. What are you thinking? Because most people also think that their home is their last home, and it's not. Most on average, people move 5 to 7 times in their lifetime.
Oh wow.
So you think this is your forever home. My husband thinks we're gonna be here forever, but we're not.
And he knows Kendra. He knows they're not. He knows they're not.
Yeah, he's
Wrong.
telling me
And
so.
no.
Yeah. So if you have a trusted agent, they will, every year on my client's anniversary of their home, when they purchase it, I always send them some type of well wishes and talk to them about, hey, here's where your value is. Also, because that also helps them look at reevaluating their insurance. So their homeowners insurance. Have you done any upgrades? We put a pool in, so then that changed our homeowners insurance. So if you've done things that have to upgrade your home as well, this every year mark is a time to think about, where's my insurance, and do I feel like I have enough value to get the PMI taken off? And it's very simple. Your agent can run a comp on your house, which is a comparative analysis of the homes that have sold in your area, and kind of give you a gauge. Like I was pretty sure that we had met the number, but a home across the street from me sold, and I was like, oh well, if it's sold for that one, for
Yeah.
that, then I know that I've made the value.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
your agent should be definitely keeping up with that information for you.
Now, see, that's another interesting conversation because it's amazing how sometimes when you purchase new homes, people don't always do that. You don't always have that relationship with your realtor, and so let's just say somebody's been in their home for a while, and you talked about insurance, so we get that property assessment or what have you on an annual basis. So is that a good time to kind of look at where you are, where insurances are concerned? And again, property assessments they can be a little interesting.
They can, but I think what the easiest thing to do, and it's the reason I use my clients' date of purchase, because it gives me a time to talk to them. Yeah, right. And so I think that that's just a good time. But if you decide, hey, when I get my property assessment, this is the time I'm going to review everything, then I think that's also a good time. It's like how people, change all your batteries for daylight savings, because it comes the same time every year.
Right.
So I think that's a great opportunity. But I would challenge someone who has a home whose agent is not reaching out to them to find another agent.
If I know the agent. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, it's been a while for me.
Yes, they should definitely be reaching out to you. Absolutely. You should, I mean, a good agent should reach out to their customer, their past client
Yeah.
every quarter.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. That is interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. So good information to know if and when I ever decide to leave. Because I plan on being here for a little while.
You know,
Uh, so now, look, I need you guys to look into your crystal balls because we got all kinds of things happening within this economy, right?
yes.
Now, look, and I'll be honest, when the market crashed like crazy and they were literally giving homes away at 2, 3, 4%, I was able to not only grab a hold of that, but I kept paying my mortgage as if I hadn't
Stop.
changed anything,
Beautiful.
which allowed me to actually pay my house off probably
Oh,
5 years early.
Congratulations. Good job. Yeah.
But look,
yeah.
and look, that's why I ain't going nowhere.
And I
Yeah.
understand that part. I understand. My house not paid off. My husband think we're staying, but we're not.
But look, one of the things that's really interesting because you talked about your realtor, your realtor reaching out to you if they're going to do a good job. Look, I get realtors reaching out to me on a weekly basis. Are you ready to sell your house? Do you know what the value is? We can, they talk to me about taking my home away and doing something different.
Mhm.
But this economy, I'm gonna tell you, it scares the crap out of me.
Yes.
Because I was just watching the news today where there are builders who have stopped taking certain projects because they don't have enough workers or um, able able-bodied workers to actually do the kinds of things that they need in regards to building. If and when these tariffs come in, and a lot of lumber comes from Canada, and people have been talking about not having the inventory
Yes.
that they need and slowing down of not only the possibility of the economy slowing down, but slowing down as far as building is concerned because of the shortages that they have in regards to material. So with all of these different dynamics that are actually going on, where do you see the real estate market heading in the next 2, 3, 4 years?
So honestly, all the things you just said are the reasons why you should buy a house now.
Now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now. Yeah.
So you should absolutely buy a house now because you don't we don't have a crystal ball. We
Yeah.
don't know what the future's going to hold. But if you're in a home, even if you fall on hard times and need to sell that home, if big builders have stopped building, then your home becomes even more valuable
Valuable. Yeah.
because there's less inventory.
Right.
So that definitely says to me if we are thinking that the tariffs are going to increase the prices, that means our value is going to go up.
Well, yeah.
If we're thinking the tariffs are going to slow down the building process, that means our value is going to go up because guess what? There's less inventory.
Yeah.
So I think that all those things that you said are reasons to get in something one that you can afford right now.
Yeah. Right now. Yeah.
People always ask me when's the best time to buy a house, and it's
Yes.
always now. But the
Yes.
best time is to buy what you can afford. You
Yes.
date the rate, you marry the house.
Yeah.
Right. So if it doesn't work, if the rates go down, you refinance your home, but you're in the home. You cannot outweight the market.
The market.
You can't outsave the market. You can't wait for things to drop or hit. The bottom's not going to fall out. I don't think that's going to happen again. That's what I think my crystal ball is saying. I don't think that's going to happen again. So I definitely think that the time is now.
Yeah.
You buy what you can afford
Now.
what you can afford now, right? I have clients. I have one client, great family. He decided to wait 2 years ago. The house he wants, he can't afford that at all. He's priced out. And so I think that you buy what you can afford, because the honest truth is if you can afford to rent an apartment, you can probably buy a house. You can buy a townhome. Rent is so expensive. So I say all those things, the tariff, the inflation, all those things are things that would, to me, say buy.
Mhm.
I bought in the middle of the pandemic,
The pandemic.
right before the rates dropped,
Oh, wow.
right before. Yeah.
Mhm.
So those things to me say buy.
And at that point, you actually become your own banker. Like that, if you purchase now, you're
Absolutely.
putting money into your own home.
There
How
you
many
go.
other places? How many banks can you go to? And I'm just being honest, as a woman and as an African American, just go in by yourself and ask, "Hey, can I borrow 100 grand from?"
Yes.
There
Whoever.
aren't a lot of. They're not, So
But if you have it in your home,
you have it
if
in
you
your
have it
home,
in your home,
you all
absolutely.
right. You become the
Absolutely.
lender then.
Because even if you think you take a line of credit out against your home at this current interest rate,
Yeah,
let's just say it's 7%.
yeah.
That's great because
You're
guess
still
what? A credit
winning.
card is
Yeah,
23%.
yeah. You're still winning. Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
25 or 29 or
exactly.
30.
There you go. And that's you're right. It's 23 if you got good credit. So
Yeah.
absolutely. If you get an equity line of credit, your home is your bank. That is
You're
an
your bank.
absolutely great point, Michael.
Become your
Your home
own bank.
absolutely is your bank.
Oh,
Absolutely. You have to make that money work for you.
Yeah.
And I've had clients fall on hard times before. I had one who the wife got cancer and she couldn't work. And so they took, they had regular insurance, but nothing that helped them like an Aflac or anything like that afterwards. So they took out a line of credit on their home because it was their biggest asset and they had so much value in it. So I just think that people don't think of all the other things. I think that was
It's
chef's
so
kiss when you
smart.
said your home is your bank. Absolutely.
yeah. And it's amazing because there are so many other opportunities that people can take in order to secure their assets. That's and it's amazing. Oftentimes we don't think about how important our salaries are and protecting our salaries when things
Yes.
happen like that. And it is good that that they were able to use that home to be able to sustain and do what they needed to. So I hope she's
Mhm.
okay and that
Yes.
everything
Yes.
worked out for her.
Information. Absolutely.
So So now let me ask this. When it comes to going back to that first time buyer kind of scenario, and even when you're talking about debt to income and debt management, what advice would you give individuals who are interested in a home, but again, the debt to income ratio may be off, or they may have some opportunity where they've got some negative things on their credit, but they've got a good income? How do
Mhm.
they fix those things in order to make sure they're able to qualify?
So I would say you hook them up with your trusted lender partner because the lenders are because what I think people don't understand is that credit is really about ratios. It's not about just paying everything off. Everybody thinks I'm just going to pay everything off. No, you actually need credit.
You need credit.
Right, you absolutely do. So if you have someone who is willing to make a plan for them, and they can tell them, listen, at this point, we're not going to charge anything else, and we're going from here moving forward, this is what we're going to do. And you make the plan and you work through it, and it can be very simple,
Yeah.
right? And it doesn't always amount to, like I said, paying everything off, because I think that scares some people too. You
Mhm.
can write letters to get negative things removed. It's just having the access to the information. A lot of things we don't know. The very first house me and my husband bought, we had no idea. We were like two little broke college kids, and this real estate agent was like, take this little book and write all these little letters to all your credit people
Yeah.
into your student loans and do this and do that. And so just having the knowledge and that information of how to get all that, all you got to do is get the ratios right.
Mhm.
Right. It's probably about 30%. So it's not about just wiping everything to zero. It's about getting it down to a
So,
reasonable number. And
yeah.
they will definitely let you know how to do that. And again, I think, I tell people, if you're thinking about buying a home, I think you should talk to a lender 6 to 9 months before,
Right.
because that gives you time to work that plan through. You've re-signed your lease and you don't want to re-sign another lease. Then the minute you sign that lease, we're going to start on our credit plan,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So we've got 1 year from the date we just signed to get your credit where it needs to be and get you into your home. And I think if you just work the plan. So having a trusted lender partner, a lot of lenders also have And I also have one that I work with some too, a person that helps you with your credit, and not like what they're doing on Instagram and telling you to, but they actually do a soft pull, and they should do a soft pull, and they show you, here's what you need to do. You need to get these numbers to a certain amount, and then just sticking to the plan. And I always, when I have somebody that's on a credit plan, I take them to see houses while we're doing it, because it keeps them encouraged.
Motivated. Yes.
Like, here's the goal.
Keep them in the game. Keep them in the game.
Absolutely. So I think that's the first thing. You just have to get a plan in place. And people, before I sold real estate, I worked in financial aid. And so I know that people with their money is very funny. Like, I don't want to open up the books and show you that I probably have not been making a lot of the best decisions. Yes. But the thing about me is I can tell you, at one point I wasn't either. I've been through all the, peaks and valleys of credit. I was a broke college kid. Like, I did all the things. So my husband, I told you my husband had to write all those little letters to get our house. So just telling somebody that and speaking through my own experience and putting them in touch with the right people who I know are going to hold their hand and be gentle and tell them, listen, it may take a lot, but we can do it. I tell clients all the time, they're going to ask for 9,000 pieces of paper and 2 drops of your first baby's blood and the hair of your second baby. But we can do it because, we just got to work the steps.
Okay. So go ahead, Micah.
I would just tell people also to be mindful, like Kendra said before, it's just about getting the ratios right in the right place, because sometimes you can pay stuff off and it ends up hurting you. That's why it's best to connect with the lender first.
Yes.
Get a plan of action and then move forward, because I paid things off. And again, like Kendra said, you need credit. The more credit they extend you, the better your credit profile looks.
Yes.
So it's very important just to get with the lender first and then follow the plan through.
You know what? And actually, I'm so happy that you said that, because I was like, okay, so I'm ready to buy a house. I need to come talk to you guys. But really and truly, I need to talk to the lender first to talk about where I am, how much house can I afford? Because a lot of people sit there and they'll go, well, I want this $500,000 house, but you got a $200,000 credit availability in the ratio. So if I'm hearing you correctly, instead of reaching out to you first, or maybe I reach out to you and I go, here's my dream.
Yes.
But go talk to that lender first and find out if my dream is a reality or if it's something I need to work my way up to.
And I tell people all the time, I say, very rarely do people look for a $600,000 home and are approved for $1 million. Most time we're looking at 600, but we're approved for 300. It's the opposite. So we don't want to get overzealous with what what we're looking at. So that's why I always tell clients, we're going to talk to the lender. We'll go out and look, but we won't officially start our search until we hear back from them on what the numbers look like.
And oftentimes, because real estate is a relationship business, it's done the opposite. They come to the realtor first.
Yes.
And they ask us, hey, who we need a lender. Do you have anybody? And then, of course, like I had to learn this from Kendra. She was just like, hey, I do have my favorite. Okay. However, we do have a few. Because he's my favorite doesn't mean that he's going to mesh well with everybody. Right. So you check them out and see how you feel with him. And then you move forward, because it's a relationship business. They typically come to us first.
I also believe that competition breeds better pricing. Yeah. So when I say that, when I give somebody my lender, I do have a favorite lender. We got the same one. But I also give them 2 other lenders because I want them to be competitive. Sometimes if they know that you're working with somebody else, they're going to find a way to cut those fees a little bit. And we want to save every cent that we can, because we're going to use that money to build our nest egg for our home, our just in case fund, or or if we need money for a down payment or whatever we need. So we are always going to compete. I have my favorite.
We're working for you. We're
absolutely. And somebody who says you only can use this you can only use this loan officer, you need to, those books are cooked. I think you need to try something
Mm.
We're
else.
on to the next one real fast, but that doesn't work.
Absolutely. Mhm.
Real fast.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Now, look, one of the things that I've noticed, especially where homes are concerned, once upon a time, you could find a nice little starter home. It would be brand new. It might have been 12, 1,500 square feet, but it was new and it was something that was often affordable. I'm not seeing builders building those types of houses anymore. What I am seeing a lot of, especially because I think because of the ability to squeeze so many things into a square footage, we're seeing a lot of townhomes being built, a lot of multi-purpose places, especially right off of Medical Center Parkway. So there are apartments, there are townhomes, they are building single family homes. When it comes to the starter home, what is that looking like in the market now?
I feel like the new starter home is the townhome. Like I don't see them being built anymore. Like back in the day when my mom
Mhm.
was her home, they don't
Mhm.
have starter homes like that anymore. And the townhome is the new starter home, and they are costing a lot. Like
Yeah,
they're nice though, but
they
they're
are.
you have some really really nice townhomes,
Oh
but
yeah.
they cost a pretty penny too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you want a brand new home at a starter home budget, you're looking definitely at
For the townhome
unless you're willing to move very far out,
outside of
outside of even Rutherford County. So
Rutherford
let's say
County,
you're looking at way out in Shelbyville or even
yeah.
Manchester, those types of areas, then you
Nashville.
yeah. But in general, a townhome is going to run you at this about 350,000.
And that's a
Yeah.
new one. Yeah, that's a
And
new
that's
one.
a
Mhm.
brand new one.
That's a new
That's a
one.
brand new one. If you, and and I think too, whenever I talk to people, I ask a couple of questions. First time if we get on the phone, we're thinking about working together. I ask a bunch of questions. What are you open to? But I also ask people, would you rather have a bigger house and a smaller yard, or a smaller yard and a bigger house? I'm the smaller yard and bigger house person. I don't care nothing about outside. Um, but
Didn't
so
you just say you put a pool in your?
She did. She
I do,
did.
but I haven't even put my whole body in the pool. My son swims. So
Mhm.
if you are a person who says I like a bigger home and a smaller yard, then we there's lots of opportunities because you probably can go new construction. You can really get you can get a townhouse now. It's 22 or 2,300 square feet.
Easy.
Mhm.
Gorgeous, so and I think townhomes are great. I try to tell people all the time, townhomes are great starter homes. They're good for resale. They're also good for if you want to then make it an investment property because there's always somebody looking to rent. So if you can get in a townhome at a good price,
It works. It's a winner.
yeah.
It's a winner. Yeah, it's
So
a winner.
yeah, I think I'm with Mike. I think a starter homes now are townhomes
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
350.
At 350, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
Well,
remember back in the day, you can get a huge house in Brentwood for 350.
yes.
right.
In 2005, my husband and I bought a 3,000 square foot house for $199,000
Yeah.
in Blackman Farms. And
Yeah.
it was the biggest house I'd ever been in, but it was $199,000.
Yeah.
You
I had
can't
more. Yeah.
you can't get a condo. You can't rent a room hardly for that. It's on scene.
You are so right.
Yeah.
That is, but and the thing that I find most interesting, and like you said, one of the things that I like to do, like if I'm walking, I'll walk a new neighborhood, or even in my neighborhood,
Mhm.
and if I see an open house sign,
You go.
I'm jumping right in because I just
Yeah.
want to see what everybody else is doing, and
Yes.
I like new ideas because I don't want to move. It's like anytime I get the I'm ready to move bug, it's like, what can I do different?
Yeah. I think that's great too, especially if you love where you are. Like great neighbors are hard to come by. So if
Right.
you love where you are, your home is paid off. I say invest in your home. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I have talked myself out of a many of sales because I'm like, you have a great interest rate or your home is paid off. Stay here. Let's do some projects. I
Mhm.
love going to TJ Maxx and Home Goods and helping people spend their own money
Yeah.
and redecorating and doing stuff. So I just think that it's always about what you can afford, what your affordability is, and what your comfort level is. You don't want to be house poor,
Right.
because if you're a person who likes to go out and do things, you want to make sure that your home, you want to be able to live. So I
And
think
nothing
that's
beats
another thing too.
a paid off home though. Nothing beats that. That's a winner. Like nothing beats that.
Listen,
Look, it brings about a lot of flexibility. Okay, it
yes.
does. It does.
Yeah.
So now,
You know
look,
what I mean?
I checked both of you guys on Facebook and everything. So one of the things that I noticed, and which is really interesting where realtors are concerned, Kendra, I noticed that you are in Clarksville. I saw you listing something in War Trace. So if I'm looking for a realtor, where can you sell homes? Are you
Anywhere,
just strictly
anywhere in
Tennessee?
Tennessee. Yeah, I'm licensed in the state of Tennessee. I am actually looking to get licensed in the state of Alabama, and I'm getting licensed in the state of Georgia.
I'm going to Georgia too. Yeah.
Everything that connects.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely.
Everything that
Um,
connects.
So look, we've got a few minutes left. So let me ask you, I got a couple questions before we go. Now, one of the things that I've noticed, because I one of the things I like to not only house shop, but just look at areas and to see how areas are actually growing. 20 years ago, there were only 70,000 people in Murfreesboro. That number has doubled in that time,
Mhm.
right? What's the new next thing? One of the things that I also noticed, because I used to be a manager with FedEx, and I would go out to the War Traces and the Tullahomas and the bell buckles, and
Mhm.
once upon a time there was nothing there. And that area is truly growing. With where are you seeing the growth as far as people, getting out of the borough and going to other places? Where are they going? So where are the builders at? And do you see any correlation with like Uncle Nearest? They are really starting to grow in that Shelbyville area. Are you seeing growth in that area? Because even Christiana has
Absolutely.
exploded over the last few years.
Yes.
Where's the next thing if I'm looking for land and houses?
Ooh, if you're looking for a land in a house in Rutherford County, I'd say Bell Buckle. I would say you may need to go to Manchester. I actually, what's so crazy is that house I have listed in War Trace is the first time I've ever been to War Trace, but it is the cutest, quaintest little spot.
City. Yeah.
Most of the houses sit on about a half an acre.
Mhm.
So I think War Trace is a good spot, but the Christianas, the Shelbyvilles, the Bell Buckles, those are the new hot spots, especially if you're looking to not if you're one of the people who want a smaller house or a house with more land. You will not find that in Murfreesboro or Smyrna or anything like that.
Nowhere near the Middle Tennessee area.
Absolutely not. You will not. I'd say also if you're going in the opposite direction, like Columbia, um, Spring Hill's probably about tapped out. So I'd say
Yeah, we're
Columbia.
tapped out. I'm looking right now.
Yeah.
Clarksville and Spring Hill tapped out right
So I
now.
would say Spring Hill. I'd say Whites Creek if you want to stay in Davidson County.
Okay.
So those would be probably my top like new places that are getting commerce as well as more buildings, more homes.
Now you know what? You just tapped on another interesting conversation. You mentioned Weiss Creek, and I know that once upon a time, back in the day, Weiss Creek was really the area for African Americans as well as Bordeaux. Now I haven't been in the Bordeaux area in a while, but I know that the last time I was in that area, and it's probably been a good 10 years,
It's
but
nice.
yes. So
Yes.
when you look at revitalization and all of the changes that are going on in that Nashville area, as even with Jefferson Street, Lower
Yes.
Jefferson Street looks real different
Real
than
different.
it did when I was a student at TSU. Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, people out there walking their dogs and doing all kinds of things at 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
You
That,
seeing
that
sidewalks being built. When they put sidewalks in the little yellow poles for the bikes,
There you go.
the area has been gentrified then, for sure.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm
So
telling you, if you have any income that you can spare, I would say try to get something by the stadium. I have a
mhm,
client who just bought a condo over there. She's renting it. Well, she bought it last year. It's already almost doubled in value. She paid $250,000 for it. You can all the like Nashville, Tennessee is booming.
It's growing, yeah.
It
mhm.
is booming. I would say you almost cannot go wrong anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that brings me to my very last topic of discussion, which are RITs, real estate investment trusts.
Uh-huh.
And if when you talk about purchasing, whether it's condos or homes and renting, fixing them, whether they're fixing them up or doing whatever it is that they're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
how is that something that the two of you actually help individuals with? What are some of the pros and cons to actually purchasing real estate investments and being, because there's so many things that you have to keep up with?
Yeah.
What is that looking like for your buyers? And if there were a group of us that wanted to get together and say, we want to buy this strip mall, or we want to purchase
Right.
these 4 or 5 houses. Once upon it, there was a time right around First Baptist. I mean, it looked like the entire city block was up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get involved in something like that? And what's the safest, most stable way in order to look at being able to do an investment of that nature? Even if I wanted to do it with a group of people.
Um,
What I would initially say is getting the right group of people. That's first and foremost. And creating your business structure.
Mhm,
What does that look like? What does the structure look like? I mean, are we going in as a corporation? What are we doing? But we need to get the right group of people together first. That's first and foremost. And we have to
mhm,
have the same thing vested, right? I can't come in with a 500 credit score and you have an 800, or I have $50,000 and you got 100. Like, we have
mhm,
to have the same. We have to be vested the same way. I've done that before.
mhm,
Open up a business. Now, we didn't purchase, and I'm happy we didn't, but I did do that. I've done that before, and it just wasn't because we weren't equally yoked, like, in that way, right? We were. I would say initially getting the right group of people together first and creating your
mhm.
business structure. Um, Definitely.
if you're talking about, should you invest in something that like a fixer upper? Should you invest in an Airbnb? Should you invest in something that you're just going to rent? I think if you're taking baby steps, I would say start with something um, that we're just going to rent long term, right? Because
Like a single family
there's
home.
like a single family home or something that's if like my client who bought by the stadium, she's Airbnb-ing that out, and it's frequently it's sold out every weekend. So
Mhm,
you want to start with probably something that's a little safer and less, and maybe not as doesn't cost as much. So,
mhm,
start a small investment and see how this works, right? Like how do we work together is, because we all come in with all our different ideas.
Ideas.
But if you're looking at something that's, I feel like it's probably a lot harder if you're looking to buy something to flip, because everybody has their own ideas and we think we're going to spend $50,000, but we end up spending 80. And where's the other 30 coming from?
Yeah.
So I think I would probably start with something that's kind of boxed and ready, right? We don't have to do a lot. She bought some furniture for that property, and then I literally helped her get it rented, put it on Airbnb, and so we just kind of got that going. So starting there, I think, was something simple. If it's 4 people at 200, we're all investing $250,000. I learned something with her that multiple people can go on the loan.
mhm,
Not, and we don't have to be related, right? So I think that with everybody having a 25%, stake into the property, so everybody's return is the same. Nobody's more or less invested because they have less skin in. But I would say, unless you are skilled at flipping homes and making repairs and doing those type of things, I would probably start with something box and a little bit cookie cutter. You know what I mean?
Ready to go. Yeah, just ready to go.
Those funds to then maybe move on to our next investment. There may be something a little bit, the cost may be a little bit more. There may be a little bit more work involved, but of course the return is going to be greater. So I think that we have to start small, and then bridge out. But I would say, if I was doing it, if I was going in with somebody, I'd probably look around Belmont area, find something I could rent to some students or by Vanderbilt, because those things are going to always be constant. Those colleges are always constant. So again, I don't know many places in Middle Tennessee that you can go wrong in.
Wow. Okay. Look, ladies, y'all have given us some great information tonight. Thank you so very much. Now, before we go, whether it's a first-time buyer or someone who is seasoned and they're looking to upgrade, can you give us 2 or 3 pieces of advice that would be good for them, and then tell our audience where they can find you?
Okay.
You're looking at each other like, we gotta go.
I don't know. So some piece of information I would say is, when you're picking an agent, make sure that it's someone that you mesh with, right? Because this is going to be a process. We are in it together. Generally, it's a long process. We're talking somewhere between 3 and 6 months, and then hopefully, at least with my clients, we have a lifetime together, right? So I will be with you when you buy this home and you sell this next home, and I'm going to help you through all the different stages and phases. That's the first thing. I think also just knowing that you can do it. I think sometimes it just seems like such a big ordeal that people just give up, right? Like, I can't do it. I'm just afraid. And so what I always try to do is just tell people through my own story how owning a home has helped me, how I've been good credit, bad credit, good credit, bad credit, all those things, and just really being able to see themselves in me and how it has helped me so much. And I would say, just, gather up all your financial documents and give me a call. That's what we do. But you can find me on Instagram at Kendra, your realtor. And I'm on Facebook, Kendra Clark. I am currently with Keller Williams and in the Murfreesboro office, and I would absolutely love to help whoever is looking to buy a home, just to give them the opportunity, and I would appreciate the opportunity to work with them.
All right, Micah, give us some words of wisdom, and then tell the people where they can find you.
Okay, so one piece of advice I would give a buyer is to, because I'm big on education, I am, is to be open to learning, right? Also, although you do have a great realtor, because I'm a great realtor and Kendra is a great realtor, we are the best realtors. Y'all listen, okay? So, but I want you to be open to learning, because I've had a few buyers who this may not have been their first time, but they were back in it relearning all over again. And it's my goal to make sure that you are educated throughout the process, because if I'm not around the next time, I want you to know that you know what's happening during the process, right? So I think that I just be open to learning, because like Kendra said, we in it. We stuck in this thing, right? So be open to learning, because my goal is I'm really want to teach you. And let's see. I'm with the Arbitrage Collective at Compass. We're downtown. I'm in the downtown office, and you can find me at my website is www.micahwoodard.com.
All right. Awesome. Ladies, thank y'all so much. You have given us a wealth of information on whether you're a first-time buyer or someone that is very seasoned and they're ready to upgrade. You've given us so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming on tonight. And to all of our folk out there on the internets, If you will like, share, and subscribe, we are with you every first Friday, and we look forward to talking to you next time. Y'all take care, and thank you so much.
All right.